Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. At first, I want to say thank you for my lecturer, Miss Rita, and then for my friends who watch this video. Today, I want to present the material about language material evaluation and development. But before I begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Sri Shophiatur Rahayu. I'm from class 2C. My student's number is 20191900041. Okay, let's start it. So guys, in the learning system, there are always evaluation and development. Like example, curriculum, syllabus, and then lesson plan. Okay guys, I'm sorry if noisy here. So, let's continue. What is curriculum? Curriculum is a focus of study consisting various courses all designed to reach a particular proficiency or qualification. And then, curriculum according to Noonan 2000 in page 6, curriculum is a very general concept which involves consideration of the whole complex of philosophical, social, and administrative factors which contribute to the planning of an educational program. Next, this is the change of curriculum in Indonesia. There are number 1, colonial era. There are 2 categories. In 1935, Dutch curriculum, and then in 1942, Japanese curriculum. Second, old other era. There are 3 categories. Curriculum in 1947, curriculum in 1952, and then curriculum in 1968. Third, new other era. There are 3 categories. Curriculum 1975, curriculum 1984, and then curriculum 1994. The last, reform era. There are 3 categories. Curriculum 2004 or KBK, curriculum 2006 or KTSP, or in Indonesian language the familiar with KTSP, and then the last curriculum 2013. Okay, and then dimension of curriculum. There are document, process, assessment, and then authority. Like example in curriculum 1986, for document using LPP, HPPP, and then daily preparation. For process, there are 3 categories. For methods, lecture or speech. For approach, using DDCH. For model, using classic. For assessment, using description, and then for authority, by government. Next, curriculum 1984. For document, using LPP, HBPP, DOMLA, lesson plan, TIU, AMP, and then package book. For process, there are 3 categories. For methods, using lecture, and then discussion. For approach, using CBSA, and then for model, using classic and work in group. For assessment, using objective test. For authority, by government. Next, curriculum 1994 or supplement 1999. For document, LPP, HBPP, DOMLA, learning scenario, TIU, AP, and then package book. For process, there are 3 categories. First, methods, using lecture, discussion, expository, and etc. And then for approach, using PACM or PICM, or standard principle. For model, using classic and CL. And then for assessment, using objective test. And for authority, by government. Next, the example curriculum 2004 or 2006 or KTSP in Indonesian. For document 1 and 2, or lesson plan and syllabus, or standard competence and then basic competence. For process, there are 3 categories. First, method using various. Second, approach using CTL. Third, model using classic and CL. For assessment, using objective test and then authority using BSNP. Next, the example curriculum 2013. Document using document 1, document 2, or syllabus, and then document 3, lesson plan, and core competence. For process, there are 3 categories. First, method using various. Second, approach using scientific. And then the last, model using PBL, PGBL, and discovery. And then assessment, attitude, knowledge, and skills. And then the last, authority by government. Okay, next slide. Now we back to standard principle or curriculum 1994 or supplement 1999. I want you to remember that in this curriculum they are called PACM or PICM. This includes 2 that. First, experience. Make observations, do an experiment, do an investigation, do an interview. Okay, this approach requires students to make observations to the any material that has not been understood is studied first. It can be done by looking for something that we do not understand. After that, then conduct experiments to solve the case. Of course, before an investigation must be carried out to find out the right way to find the answer. And then finally, this method can be done by interviewing people who understand or looking for sources from the internet. Second, interaction. There are 2 types, discussion and then questions and answer. This approach like this is also a way that always works because in discussions, always find the questions about is not known. Then there will be questions and answers from the audience with those who explain the material. And then third, communication. Express opinion, display work, report presentation. Of course, in a learning process, communication skills must be trained. A teacher must be able to make students interact well, so their communication skills will begin to be trained. And then the last is reflection. Rethink what has been done, evaluate the positive and negative aspects of what has been done, so that in the future it will be better. Of course, it is important to evaluate the progress of students in each learning session. For example, reviewing material to students and directing students to re-explain what material has been given. Okay, next slide. Now we'll back to curriculum 2004 or 2006, or in Indonesian, familiar with KTSP. There are 7 components of CTL. First, constructivism is the foundation of thinking in the CTL approach. In constructivism, students' knowledge is built gradually and the results are obtained through a limited context. The knowledge obtained is not only a set of facts, concepts, or rules that are ready to be taken and remembered, but students must construct their own language and then give meaning through real experience. On this basis, learning must be packaged into a process of constructing, not receiving, knowledge. In the learning process, students build their own knowledge through active involvement during the learning process, so that students become the center of activity. And then there are inquiry is the most important part of learning that uses a contextual approach. The knowledge and skills acquired by students are obtained by finding themselves. Therefore, the learning process designed by the teacher must be in the form of activities that refer to finding activities. The learning steps begin with formulating problems, observing, analyzing, and then communicating. Third, questioning is the main strategy in the contextual approach. Asking in learning is seen as a teacher activity to encourage, guide, and assess students' thinking abilities. And then next, learning community is one of the techniques in the contextual approach. With this technique, learning is obtained from collaboration with other people. Learning outcomes are obtained through sharing between friends, and then between groups, and between those who know and those who do not know. This activity will occur when there is no dominant party in the communications. No party is reluctant to ask questions, and no party considers himself to be the one who knows best. Each party should feel that each other has different knowledge, experience, or skills that need to be learned. And then fifth, the purpose of modeling is that learning is done by displaying a model that can be seen, felt, and even imitated by students. In practice, the teacher is not the only model. Yeah, because the model presented will be the standard of competence to be achieved. So, if the teacher is not able to become a model, never force yourself. Teachers can bring in models from outside. The model can be from students who are considered capable or experts in the class. And then number 6, reflection is a way of thinking about what we have done in the past. Reflection is a response to events, activities, or newly received knowledge. The purpose of this reflection activity is to see how far the previously built knowledge can settle in the minds of students. Therefore, this reflections activity must always be done before the teacher ends the learning process for each meeting. Okay, and the last, authentic assessment. The next slide. The learning process with a scientific approach. First, to observe. Students observe phenomena with their senses such as reading, hearing, listening, seeing, watching with or without tools to identify things they want to know in order to take certain actions. Second, to asking questions. Students formulate questions about things they are not known from the observed phenomena. And then third, to trying collect data and information. Students read other sources and textbook, observe objects, events, interview sources to collect relevant data, information with questions. And then fourth, To associate or process the information. Students process the information that has been collected to answer questions or draw conclusions. And then fifth, to communicate. Students submit answer or conclusions based on the result of the analysis orally, in writing or other media. And then the last, to create. Students innovate, create, design product, designs models based on the knowledge they construct. Okay, next slide. Now we'll discuss about syllabus and lesson plan. Sorry, I moved my screen. And then what is syllabus? A syllabus is simply an outline and timeline of a particular course. It will typically give a brief overview of the course objectives, course expectations, and then list reading assignments, and then homework deadlines and exam dates. And then a syllabus according to Salim, 1987, in page 19.8. Syllabus in an outline, summary, abstract or main points of the content or learning materials. Okay, next slide. This is the component of syllabus. There are 10 components of syllabus. Subject identity contains the title of the subject that will be given to students. School identity contains the name of the education unit and class. Core competence, an overview of competencies in the aspects of attitudes, knowledge and skills that must be learned by students for school, class, and subject levels. And then basic competence, specific abilities that include attitudes, knowledge and skills related to content or subjects. And then indicators of competence achievement. Okay, wait. Behavior, they can be measured or observed to show the achievement of certain basic competencies that become subject assessment reference. And then subject matter contains relevant facts, concepts, principles, and procedures, and written in a form that is in accordance with the formulations of competency achievement indicators. And then learning. Activities carried out by educators and students to achieve the expected competencies. And then assessment, the process of collecting and processing information to determine the achievement of students' learning outcomes. And then number 9, time allocation. In accordance with the number of hours in the curriculum structure for one semester or 1 year. And then the last, learning resources or reference can be in the form of books, print and electronic media, natural surroundings, or other relevant learning resources. The next slide. And then what is lesson plan? Sorry, I moved my screen again. As I could conclude that lesson plan is a plan that describes the procedures and organization of learning to achieve a basic competency set out in the content standards and outlined in the syllabus. Okay, and then according to Mulyasa 2007 in page 183, lesson plan is a plan for describing procedures and teaching management to achieve one or more basic competencies specified in the competency standards and described in the syllabus. Okay, next slide. This is the component of lesson plan. They are 8 components of lesson plan. First, subject identity includes educational units, classes, semesters, skill programs, subjects or a theme, and the number of meetings. Next, competency standard. Minimum ability qualifications of students that describe the mastery of knowledge, attitudes, and skill they are expected to be achieved in each class and semester in a subject. And then basic competence. A number of abilities that must be mastered by students in certain subjects as a reference for the preparation of competency indicators in a lesson. And then indicators of competence achievement. The behavior that can be measured or observed to show the achievement of certain basic competencies that become the reference of assessing subjects. And then learning objectives describes the process and learning outcomes that are expected to be achieved by students in accordance with basic competencies. And then teaching materials contains relevant facts, concepts, principles, and procedures, and is written in the form of points in accordance with the formulations of indicators of competency achievement. And then time allocation. Determined according to the need to achieve a basic competence of learning load. And then the last, learning methods. Used by teachers to create a learning atmosphere and learning process so that students achieve basic competencies or a set of predetermined indicators. Next slide. Okay, now we'll discuss about evaluation and assessment. So, evaluation is a broader term than the measurement. It is more comprehensive than more inclusive than the term measurement. It goes ahead of measurement, which simply indicates the numerical value. It keeps the value judgment to the numerical value. It includes both tangible and intangible qualities. Okay, and then assessment is the systematic basic for making inferences about the learning and development of students. It is the process of defining, selecting, designing, collecting, analyzing, interpreting, and using information to increase students' learning and development. Assessing student learning and development, a guide to the principles, goals, and methods of determining college outcomes. This according by Erwin 1991. Okay, and then next slide. Now, the differences between evaluation and assessment. Evaluation focuses on grades and might reflect classroom components other than course content and mastery level. An evaluation can be used as a final review to gauge the quality of instructions. It's product-oriented. This means that the main question is what's been learned. In short, evaluation is judgmental. And then assessment is the systematic process of documenting and using empirical data to measure knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs. By taking the assessment, teachers try to improve the students' path toward learning. Okay, next slide. There are three discussion, true and false, multiple choice, and then essay. True and false is variously said of something that must be considered as correct or true, or incorrect or false. And then multiple choice is a form of an objective assessment in which respondents are asked to select only correct answers from the choices offered as a list. The multiple choice format is most frequently used in educational testing, in market research, and in elections. Sorry, I want to move my screen again. And then the last, essay, is generally a piece of writing that gives the author's own argument, but the definition is vague, overlapping with those of a letter, a paper, an article, a pamphlet, and a short story. Next discussions. Approach in teaching and learning process. There are 6 points of this. First, teacher-centered approach. Teacher-centered approaches are more traditional in nature, focusing on the teacher as instructor. They are sometimes referred to as direct instructions, deductive teaching, or expository teaching, and are typified by the lecture-type presentation. In these methods of teaching, I'm sorry if noisy here, the teacher controls what is to be taught and how students are presented with the information that they are to learn. Second, child-centered approach. Student-centered approaches, sometimes referred to as discovery learning, inductive learning, or inquiry learning, place a much stronger emphasis on the learner's role in the learning process. When you are using student-centered approaches to teaching, you still set the learning agenda, but you have much less direct control over what and how students learn. And then third, inductive and deductive approach. In inductive approach, students move towards specified example to general rules. At first, many examples are put forward to students, and then he draws out a conclusion on the basis of these examples. And then the deductive approach is opposite to inductive approach because in it first a principle or rule is put in front of students, and then it is clarified by giving example. Next, a Herbartian approach. This approach is given by John Frederick Herbart. He advocated that teaching should be planned actively if we intend to make it. This approach is based on appreciative math theory of learning. The example: preparation, presentation, comparison and abstractions, generalization, and then applications. Next, evaluation approach or Bloom's approach. The concept of evaluation approach is given by P.S. Bloom. His main emphasis was that testing should be based on teaching, and both these activities should be objective-centered. Today, teaching is organized by using the evaluation approach. Under this approach, yearly plan and unit plan are prepared. It has 3 main steps: formulating educational objectives, creating learning experience, and then evaluating the change behavior. And the last, RCEM approach. This approach is developed at Regional College of Educational Mysore or RCEM. In this approach, the teaching learning situations, strategies, and aid material is properly stated in the name of it has 3 steps: input, process, and then output. Okay, next slide. Teaching and method in teaching and learning process. Sorry guys, I'm so sorry. Technique and method in teaching and learning process. For technique in teaching and learning process means how the teachers use their skills to teach students. A technique which is developed based on some assumptions of an approach includes the whole plan for the presentation of language material. And then for method is teaching method is what kind of activity we use in order to teach. And then method refers to the procedure within an approach. We use method depends on a scientific then an approach and has step-by-step procedure to solve a problem. Okay, next slide. This deludes our discussion for today. The criteria of good evaluation. There are nine types. First, objective basedness. Evaluation is making judgment about some phenomena or performance on the basis of some predetermined objectives. And then therefore, a tool meant for evaluation should measure attainment in terms of criteria determined by instructional objectives. This is possible only if the evaluator is defined about the objectives, the degree of realization of which he is going to evaluate. Therefore, each item of the tool should represent an objective. Second, comprehensiveness. A tool should cover all points expected to be learned by the pupils. It should also cover all the predetermined objectives. This is referred to be comprehensiveness. And then third, discriminating power. A good evaluation tool should be able to discriminate the respondents on the basis of the phenomena measured. Hence, while constructing a tool for evaluation, the discrimination power has to be taken care of. Okay, wait. This may be at 2 levels. First, for the task as a whole, and then for each item included. Fourth, reliability. Reliability of a tool refers to the degree of consistency and accuracy with which it measures what it is intended to measure. If the evaluation gives more or less the same result every time it is used, such evaluation is said to be reliable. Consistency of a tool can be improved by limiting subjectivity of all kinds. And then making items on the basis of predetermined specific objectives, ensuring that the expected answers are definite and objective. And then providing clearly spelled out scheme for scoring and conducting evaluation under identical and ideal conditions will help in changing reliability. Retest methods, split half method, and equivalent form or parallel form method are the important methods generally used to determine the reliability of a tool. Okay, and then validity is the most important quality needed for an evaluation tool. if the tool is able to measure what it is intended to measure. It can be said that the tool is valid. It should fulfill the objectives for which it is developed. Validity can be defined as the accuracy with which it measures what it is intended to measure, or as the degree in which it persists in fallibility in measuring what is purposed to measure. Content validity, predictive validity, construct validity, concurrent validity, congruent validity, factorial validity, criterion related validity, and etc. And then sixth, objectively. A tool is said to be objective if it is free from personal bias of interpreting its scope as well as in scoring the responses. Objectively is one of the most primary requisites required for maintaining all other qualities of a good tool. And then seventh, practicability. A tool, however, while it satisfies all the above criteria, may be useless unless it is not practically feasible. For example, suppose in order to ensure comprehensiveness, it was felt that 1,000 items should be given to be answered in 10 hours. This may yield valid result. Okay, and then I think that's all for my presentation. Thanks for your attention. And then I do apologize for my mistakes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.